Hi folks, Canadian Prepper here. This is the second installment of Urban Survival Secrets. When times get bad, nice guys finish last. So let's get to it. A lot of people are going to fear the cities after it hits the fan, and for good reason. That's where a lot of the lower level street gangs are probably going to be running amok. At the end, I'm not really worried about street gangs. I'm more so worried about resourceful people. Like, I'd be worried about preppers and like former law enforcement and former military a lot more than I'd be worried about some lower level street gang. They're disorganized, typically they're unhealthy, typically they're on drugs. If you ever watch a zombie movie, the main antagonists are never the zombies. It's always the other humans. The zombies are kind of just there as a filler, right? The zombies are gonna kill you, but it's the other humans that you have to worry about. So I fear preppers more than I do lower level street gangs because they're fairly one-dimensional. Whereas a prepper who's maybe thinking a few steps ahead, it's like playing chess, you know, it's a much more difficult opponent. A lot of what people fear, like a lot of what preppers tend to use as motivation, and you know, they fear the mobs of people, and eventually a mob reaches a critical mass where, yeah, you have to bug out. You can only protect an area from a mob to a certain extent. Eventually they're going to overwhelm you. By and large, you need to worry about people who have the commitment to doing bad things as opposed to just looters. Like, there's several levels. Like, there's looters, higher level theft. Then you have your misfits, or people who are just causing a ruckus. Then you have actual like gangs who are doing organized crime. Then you have like your psychopaths and other types of psychopathology. The biggest people to worry about are probably what I call like the conquerors. They're the people who have plans, right? They're the leaders, the ones who have ambitions to like fill a power vacuum that exists in the wake of disaster. Now, if there's no rule of law and there's no police, somebody's going to fill that power vacuum. It's just nature abhors a vacuum, as the saying goes, and there's going to be somebody who takes the opportunity to start making rules. Typically, most major municipalities now will have crime heat maps, so you can go and see like where the most homicides occurred, where the most thefts occurred. You would be surprised at how much crime occurs in places where you wouldn't think it's occurring. Once all of the low-hanging fruit has been exhausted, that's when people start going for the high-hanging fruit. So that's when people start going off the beaten path and getting more clever in their machinations. So the furthest back in the supply chain is the actual crop coming out of the ground. Then you have the train cars that the grain is loaded onto. Then it goes to like the Robin Hood facility. They're gonna process the flour. Then the flour is put in bags. It's taken to the consolidated food places, like the distribution centers. Then from there, it's distributed to the grocery stores, the retail outlets, the gas stations, anywhere else they might sell those types of products. So the further up the supply chain you go, the less competition you're going to have at the start, but people are going to get wise. All right, so this is an example of something way up the supply chain. This is a flour manufacturing facility. This is where they actually turn the grains into flour. This is the Robin Hood. So this is the furthest up the supply chain you can go for calories without going right to the farmer's field. In these industrial regions, that's where you're gonna find the sort of central distribution hubs for everything. And a lot of people, when they're thinking about scavenging and looting, they're just thinking about commercial, but you almost have to think industrial sector. So the parts of your city that are zoned for industrial, that's going to be where the stuff really is. Like, that's where the most dense amount of equipment and material actually is. There's millions of dollars of meat in there. If you want to eat meat after the shizzy hits the fizzy, this is where you go, the Maple Leaf store. And usually places like that, they're almost built for war. I mean, look at that. There's no windows, heavy duty, steel doors, those places are going to be very, very essential points of interest. So this is our lovely police station. Come to Saskatoon, hoarfrost and police. I believe it cost them hundreds of millions of dollars to build the new police station. This is where you're gonna come to steal a cannon after the shit hits the fan. This is one of the many Canadian armories where we have some trucks that are painted brown. This is how we're going to fight the Russians, with trucks that are painted brown. I really thought it was going to be more exciting than that. I apologize, folks, but this is all of the Canadian military right here. We have enough trucks to carry around 100 soldiers to their deaths. Now, swimming pools are a great source of water. Not many people will think about it, but if water is really scarce, that's where the city is going to get its water from. But we do also live by a river, so you're kind of dumb if you're doing that. Now that's a kick-ass mural. Places to avoid when shit hits the fan. Liquor stores. Definitely don't go to liquor stores, because every alcoholic who is trying to self-medicate their withdrawal pangs are definitely going to liquor stores. Another place where you're probably going to want to avoid at all costs, if at all possible, is hospitals. This is not medical advice, I'm just saying hospitals, obviously they're going to be very, very congested. Everybody's going to be going there for help. See, what's happening in China right now is they suspect that the reason why a lot of people are presenting with such severe symptoms is because people are going to the hospital when they don't particularly need to, and then they're catching more deadly strains of the virus. So, you know, in an SHTF situation where there's just more disease spreading around, you probably don't want to be putting yourself, unless you really, really need to, right? Again, there's going to be situations where you got to go, you know, but if there ever was a time to maybe avoid a region like that, I would say that's the time. Season 3 of The Walking Dead, they hole up in a jail. Because when you really think about it, a jail is built to contain people. The converse of that is keeping people out. It really would be the ideal place if, you know, everything just went to hell. These are actually places you're going to want to worry about, because the fact of the matter is, non-maximum security prisons, they're just going to let everybody go if disaster strikes. So this jail here would be an ideal place to fortify and defend after the shizzy hit the fizzy. But good luck getting people out of there. The only people who are probably going to be holed up in a place like that are the guards. Underground parkades in particular are going to be excellent bomb shelters, because those places are built to be really tough. This is why gated communities are good, because they have these choke points. This right here is another good example, like that sort of architecture. Like, good luck driving a truck through that. You probably could, but you wouldn't be driving that truck again. Buildings like that where there's no windows, that's ideal. That's why one of the best movies ever made, the best zombie movies, was Dawn of the Dead, and the whole plot was that they're holed up in a shopping mall. They managed to purge all the zombies out of the shopping mall. But then, of course, it's not the zombies that they had to worry about, it was the humans. Because this biker gang rolled through, and that was it. So it just goes to show, it's not the zombies you have to worry about, it's the frickin' humans. Those pesky humans.
The best way to support this channel is to support yourself by gearing up at CanadianPreparedness.com, where you'll find high-quality survival gear at the best prices, no junk, and no gimmicks. Use discount code PREPPINGGEAR for 10% off. Don't forget, the strong survive, but the prepared thrive. Stay safe.